evening and a very warm welcome to Primetime News on TV1. Today is Saturday, the 29th of July 2023. For the News First team, I am Peruni Karunaratna. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
French President assures fullest support to Sri Lanka's debt restructuring process. Prime Minister apologizes over the suspension of the light rail transit project. Journalist Tharindu Duwaragedara released on bail. Many factions expressed displeasure over the attack on journalists.
අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න එකට හේතුවක් නැහැ. ඒක ඉතා පැහැදිලිව මේ කලින් තීරණය කරලා ඇවිල්ලා කරපු එක.
ඒකට රාජ්‍ය ආයතන විකුණද්දී ඒ විකුණනකොට එළියට බයින සේවකයන්ටයි මේ දෙන්නේ. බලත් එළියට බැස්සොත් මේක තමයි ගන්න ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය කියලා.
උඩින් අටවාගත්තු ජනාධිපතිවරයා මේ විතර ජනතාව මර්ධනය කිරීම සඳහා දරන මේ ප්‍රයත්නය ජනතා බලය හමුවේ අපි සහතික වශයෙන් පරාජයට පත් කරනවා.
Auditor General appoints a 15-member committee to look into the importation of substandard medicine.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
In your top story this evening, French President Emmanuel Macron said that the French government is ready to provide the maximum support to complete the debt restructuring process in Sri Lanka, as well as encourage all other partners to expedite the debt restructuring process. He stated this when he arrived in Sri Lanka last night. The French delegation, including the French president, arrived at the Katunayake airport in 3 planes of the French government at about 11:35 p.m. on Friday. The French president arrived in Sri Lanka after his visit to Papua New Guinea. A group including President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri arrived at the Bandaranaike airport premises to welcome and hold a discussion with the French delegation.
Your presence is very full.
According to the Presidential Media Division, President Ranil Wickremesinghe and President Macron held a friendly and productive bilateral discussion to enhance and elevate the existing relations between Sri Lanka and France. Attention has been given to improve the relations between the two countries in specific fields. These fields include establishing an educational institute to develop maritime safety and security, the establishment of a French agency for development in Sri Lanka, initiating high-level diplomatic dialogue, improving the cooperation in the field of education, and improving efforts to curtail human trafficking in the ocean. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Philippe Vigier and Ambassador of France to Sri Lanka and the Maldives Jean-François Pactet were among the delegation that visited Sri Lanka. In a tweet, the French president revealed that he was working to begin a new era for the partnership between Sri Lanka and France and thereby strengthen the 75-year diplomatic relations between the countries. The French president and his delegation remained at the airport terminal for about 2 hours and then departed for Paris at 1:44 a.m. Foreign Minister of Japan Yoshimasa Hayashi paid a courtesy call on President Ranil Wickremesinghe in Colombo on Saturday.
President Wickremesinghe expressed his gratitude to the Japanese government for their support in the debt restructuring process and shared details of French President Emmanuel Macron's offer aiming to play a pivotal role in enhancing the common platform for debt restructuring and expediting the process. The talks between the President and the Japanese Foreign Minister revolved around key areas of cooperation, namely the light rail transit, also known as LRT, the East Terminal, the Kandy Development Plan, Central Highway and the expansion of the Bandaranaike International Airport. Both parties expressed the importance of expediting the implementation of these projects. Additionally, they delve into bilateral, regional and global issues, emphasizing their shared commitment to maintaining the region as a peaceful and stable area. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister of Japan Hayashi Yoshimasa met with Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at Temple Trees. The Prime Minister had admitted that the suspension of the light rail transit project, which was to be constructed using credit assistance from Japan, was a mistake committed in the recent past. The Prime Minister has also requested the Japanese government to resume discussions on continuing the project. Memorandums of understanding on human resources between the two countries and student scholarships were discussed. Meanwhile, a press briefing was held with the participation of Foreign Minister to Sri Lanka Ali Sabri and the Foreign Minister of Japan Yoshimasa Hayashi.
Sri Lanka is located at a strategic juncture along the sea lanes of Indian Ocean and is an important partner in realizing a free and open Indo-Pacific for FOIP. At today's meeting, I explained about the new plan for the FOIP that Prime Minister Kishida announced in March this year and stated that Japan attaches importance to cooperation with the Indian Ocean Rim Association, or IOLA, which Sri Lanka would chair from October. So I conveyed my expectation for further progress in the debt restructuring process and stressed the importance of a transparent and comparable debt restructuring that involves all creditor countries. I welcome Sri Lanka's effort under the IMF agreement, including its anti-corruption measures and transparency in the policy-making process. Concerning Sri Lanka's efforts on national reconciliation, I express Japan's intention to support Sri Lanka's effort. As Japan attaches importance to the universalization and promotion of entry into force of the CTBT, Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, I really welcome Sri Lanka's ratification of the treaty. After this announcement over the working lunch, I will share outcomes of the G7 Hiroshima Summit as the G7 chair. I also look forward to discussing international challenges with Minister Sabri. So it's the hope of Japan and myself that Sri Lanka will overcome the current crisis as soon as possible and bring itself back on track for further economic development, serving as a hub in this Indian Ocean. Sri Lanka has and will continue to have Japan's support in this endeavor. We remain grateful to Japan for unwavering support and grant assistance extended to Sri Lanka during these challenging times, as well as for the Japan's confidence in Sri Lanka. As you all are aware, during the recent negotiation with the IMF, Japan played an important supportive role in successful outcome of the discussion with the IMF and subsequently in facilitating the unique donor platform for our debt restructuring negotiations. Japan is a trusted partner, and with clear indicators of Sri Lanka's gradual economic recovery, both the President and I invited Japan to receive the Japanese investment projects which are currently in the pipeline and invited fresh investment from Japan in several sectors such as power, infrastructure, including port and highways sectors, dedicated investment zones, as well as the green and digital economy. I also briefed the Minister on the recent measures to enhance national reconciliation and unity for all segments of our people in all parts of the country, including the recent proposal put forward by the President on the power sharing under the 13th Amendment. Japan positively acknowledged the important contribution to promoting global security made by Sri Lanka recently in ratifying comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty. On regional matters, we will also discuss with Minister about the Sri Lanka's upcoming chairmanship of the Indian Ocean Rim Association and our commitment to promote peace, security, safety and cooperation in the Indian Ocean Rim region for the prosperity of all states within the framework of international law.
The Japanese Foreign Minister arrived in Sri Lanka after concluding official trips to 6 nations. Foreign Minister of Japan Hayashi Yoshimasa also met with Sri Lankan opposition leader Sajith Premadasa. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa appreciated the positives of the education structure in Japan, adding that he highly admires the discipline, commitment, diligence and honesty of the Japanese people. The opposition leader has requested the Japanese foreign minister to provide the technology needed to develop the fishing industry and to provide technical facilities to the children in rural areas and to provide all possible support to the government and people of Sri Lanka to recover from the economic crisis.
Executive Committee member of the Young Journalists Association, Tharindu Uduwaragedara, was released on bail this evening. He was arrested during a protest held in Boralla yesterday.
Tharindu Uduwaragedara was arrested by the Boralla police yesterday on the charge of being part of an illegal gathering and criminal coercion on a government official. Following his arrest, he was hospitalized this evening based on the recommendation of the Colombo forensic medical officer. He was released on bail after being observed by the Hulstov acting magistrate Prasanna Alves.
The police filed the B report against Tharindu Uduwaragedara at the magistrate's court. Several false facts were found to be on that B report. Our attorneys, including President's Counsel Salia Peris, presented these facts to the courts and proved that this arrest was an illegal arrest. There is no proof to show that he has committed any offence. The people had detained him for about 14 hours even when he was injured. Based on these facts, Tharindu Uduwaragedara was granted bail today.
රෝහල් ගත කරන්න නැතුව රඳවා තබාගෙන ඉඳලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කරුණු මත අද දින ගරු මගේස්ත්‍රාතුමා විසින් අප ලබා දුන්නා.
Meanwhile, a group of civil activists engaged in a silent protest opposite the Boralla police station this morning against the arrest of journalist Tharindu Uduwaragedara.
They arrested him knowing very well that he is a journalist. This is not actually an arrest, it is a kidnapping. He was forced into a police jeep in broad daylight and attacked. The police showed the powers vested upon them by the Rajapaksa government. Tharindu clearly said that he is a journalist. Court rulings have given the democratic rights of the people to freedom of expression and protest. Without knowing that, they are abusing them. Tharindu Uduwaragedara has been attacked. They attacked his face and body after arresting him. He was assaulted when he was being arrested.
The Union of Civil Organizations convened a media briefing and expressed its opinion in this regard.
There was no reason for Tharindu Uduwaragedara to be arrested. This is clearly a well-planned arrest. They attacked the man who was in a three-wheeler and then also attacked him for refusing to get in the police jeep. The police should have at least tried to cover up this plan. Now they are trying to continue this plan. The other extent of this is the government's actions. They are not even trying to cover up their actions the way J.R. Jayawardena did. What is the government trying to tell us? We must tell the people that if the government does not hesitate to treat a journalist like this, the government would treat you as us, even worse. We can see a clear repression of state sector employees. Trade union leaders have been banned from giving statements to the media. They have silenced all the citizens of the country. The rulers of the country are now trying to make everything happen the way they want.
The
government is threatening citizens of the country for standing up against their decisions. We must state this clearly. We are not afraid of the Ranil Rajapaksa government's repressions. We are even ready to take the lead against the steps taken by them to silence the people.
රනිල් රාජපක්ෂගේ මර්ධනයට එරෙහිව ගන්න ක්‍රියාමාර්ගවල වෘත්තීය සමිතියට නායකත්වය දෙන්න අපි සූදානම්.
The Committee to Protect Journalists said on Friday that Sri Lankan authorities must hold the perpetrators of this attack of Sri Lankan journalist Tharindu Uduwaragedara accountable and ensure that journalists can cover protests without fear of reprisal. It added that the police beating of Sri Lankan journalist Tharindu Uduwaragedara is appalling. CPJ said it contacted the Sri Lankan police spokesperson Nihal Taldua via a messaging app for a comment but did not receive any replies. The Committee to Protect Journalists was founded in 1981 by a group of US correspondents with the aim of defending the right of journalists to report the news safely and without a fear of reprisal.
In a statement, the Jaffna Media Association says the attack on journalist Tharindu Uduwaragedara is unjustifiable. It said this attack is an attack on media freedom. It also said that the attack was not coincidental but well planned. The Jathika Jana Balawegaya, convening a press briefing on Saturday, said the police officers who arrested journalist Tharindu Uduwaragedara must be brought before the law.
We see this as a manifestation of Ranil's deviant characteristics in deliberately chasing and hunting down people who disagree with the government. Not only did they arrest him, but Ranil Wickramasinghe's police have abused him in many ways and he was assaulted. Legal action should be taken against the higher police officers who intervened in this illegal arrest. What Ranil Wickramasinghe is doing is preparing the background to suppress a great uprising from this country's citizens in the future. A majority of the citizens have become helpless, so Ranil Wickramasinghe knows that the people who are oppressed will stand up against his dishonest economic plan. That's why Ranil Wickramasinghe has the necessity to suppress those who protest and to prevent the public from standing up against him. He is a president who has no power and no mandate of the people. We will surely defeat his effort to suppress the people.
වරමක් නැති ජනතාවගේ කැමැත්තක් නැති උඩින් අටවාගත්තු ජනාධිපතිවරයෙක් මේ විතර ජනතාව මර්ධනය කිරීම සඳහා දරන මේ ප්‍රයත්නය ජනතා බලය හමුවේ අපි සහතික වශයෙන් පරාජයට පත් කරනවා. හරියට මේ අපේ ගෙදරට හොරෙක්.
It is as if a thief broke into our house and forced us to act according to his conditions. We will not tolerate it because no one told the thief to break in. He came in because we left the back door open. Ranil Wickramasinghe is the same. When he was at home after losing the election, when Gotabaya was in trouble, he sneaked in through the back door and broke into the house. If he is oppressing us, should we as a nation tolerate this? What does it show if the man who was in good health before he was arrested is wounded to the extent that he has to be hospitalized for few hours after his arrest? How can they do this without any fear unless they have a support from higher authorities? The Anti-Terrorism Act is being brought to make these types of things legal. Similarly, they brought the Media Broadcasting Authority Act to harass the media. Only a person who does not have a people's mandate and is afraid of the people's power can do such things as suppressing media and shutting down people's freedom of speech. If there is a person who is afraid of people's power, there is no one except Ranil Wickramasinghe. Uduwaragedara is a valued journalist who won the Mervyn De Silva Award and the Denzel Pierce Award as well. They have beaten and dragged who is considered to be a resource to the country. We are asking the national and international human rights institutions to please look into this. They cannot override these laws in Sri Lanka. The police is talking about obstructing their duty. It is not only the police who have duties. Uduwaragedara is a journalist. He was engaged in his profession. He was doing his job when they arrested him. In this country, it was very common for broadcasting journalists and independent journalists and people engaged in journalism during Rajapaksha's time. By now, I think that Ranil Wickramasinghe is trying to bring it up again, and with the attack on journalist Tharindu Uduwaragedara yesterday. But Ranil Wickramasinghe must know that he has failed. He is an illegitimate president.
ප්‍රංශ ජනාධිපතිතුමා ලංකාවට පැමිණෙන අවස්ථාවේ තමයි මේ උද්ඝෝෂකයන්ගේ තිබෙන උද්ඝෝෂණය ඒක ආවරණයට කරන්න ගිය තරිඳු මාධ්‍යවේදියාව.
While the French president was in the country, journalist Tharindu Uduwaragedara was brutally attacked when he was covering a protest. France is a country full of people that championed global democracy. When the first citizen of a country like that came to Sri Lanka, we saw a journalist being brutally attacked and arrested. The Japanese foreign minister is in Sri Lanka. He said that it was essential for the Sri Lankan government to be transparent in the debt restructuring process. This shows that the government is not doing what the international community is expecting. The government is not transparent at all. They have postponed the election, claiming that they do not have money. They are influencing the judiciary to postpone the elections. They are intimidating the justices who are speaking about the election. They are intimidating the election commission members who speak about the elections. This is the government's agenda.
ඔවුන්ව තරවටු කරන්න හදනවා අනිත් පැත්තෙන් මැතිවරණය ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරයි කියලා ඒ මැතිවරණ කොමිසමේ නිලධාරීන් ගෙනල්ලා ඔවුන්ව බය කරන්න හදනවා. ඒතර මේක තමයි ආණ්ඩුවේ න්‍යාය පත්‍රය වෙලා.
The Auditor General has appointed a 15-member team to look into the importation of substandard medicines from the beginning of 2022 until now.
The investigation team consists of officials and doctors representing the Ministry of Health, Medical Supplies Division, State Pharmaceuticals Corporation of Sri Lanka, Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Corporation, Colombo National Hospital and other major hospitals in the island. Auditor General WPC Vikramaratne said that the investigation was commenced as information regarding the usage of unregistered medicines and substandard medicines involving the Health Ministry and the NMRA has come to the forefront. Meanwhile, another special investigation has commenced on the computer system related to the purchase and distribution of medicines. The Auditor General mentioned that it is currently in the final stage. The investigation report will be submitted to the Parliament in about 2 months. Meanwhile, many patients were severely inconvenienced due to the shortage of medicines.
I went to the pharmacy to buy medicine. They did not have medicine. I need 5,000 rupees to purchase the medicine. How can I do this every day? I came here to do a blood test. I don't have money.
Most of the medicines must be bought from the pharmacies. I have put plasters. They told me to put bandages. They don't have those either. What is this government doing? I did not get the medicines. They told me to buy them from somewhere else. Protests were held in several parts of the island on Saturday, highlighting the issues in the health sector faced by the general public. A protest organized by Women for Rights organization was held opposite the Gampa General Hospital, demanding solutions to the health crisis.
We don't have medicine. We don't have food. The cost of living is high. How can we live like this? Don't they understand this? So we must unite and chase them out. All we ask is that everyone comes together and chase them out.
Another protest organized by the Women for Rights organization was held in front of the Rikilla Gaskada Hospital.
News first with the people. News first. Main sponsor.
Duddon's Hospital, dedicated to you.
In more local news, State Minister Dilu Mamunugama says the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna will extend its appreciation to the President for his contributions.
The Hiriala electorate meeting of the SLPP took place on Saturday.
These are challenging times. We must face these challenges. If the ruling faction breaks down, the state will fall too. 6.9 million people voted for us. If we are to safeguard the 6.9 million mandate, we must make sure that the privileges of President Ranil Wickremesinghe's capitalist policies are transferred to the farming and fishing communities. They told our captain to play, but he did not. He gave food and beverages to protesters who demonstrated against him. At the end, our captain ran away. There is a storm, but the captain is not there. We realize that Ranil Wickremesinghe is the best person to steer the ship during a storm. We will extend our appreciation to President Ranil Wickremesinghe for the work he did. But the party will decide that.
Due to the dry weather conditions, the farmers of Vallabha are severely inconvenienced. Today is the 6th consecutive day of the Satyagraha launched by the farmers of Ambilipitia demanding water for the Yala season.
The group engaged in the Satyagraha in Ambilipitia while another group of farmers met with the Minister of Agriculture. The farmers pointed out that the limited amount of water that is released from the Samanala is being taken by farmers in the upper paddy fields by blocking it, and that it has caused a dispute between the farmers. Potato farmers are also severely inconvenienced as a proper price for their harvest has not been provided. Farmers allege that as they are ready to reap their harvest, there are plans to import potatoes from overseas. As soon as the imported potatoes were brought into the market, the local potato production always drops. There are plans to import vegetables by lifting the ban on certain vegetables. Do not try to do that. Do not inconvenience the farmers.
The price of crude oil in the world market has seen a remarkable increase.
Accordingly, the price of a barrel of crude oil in the British Brent market was seen at $84.99. Be the first to know about the biggest stories as they break. Subscribe to News First English News Alerts. News First, your trusted English news channel.
The Soul Sounds Academy Choir, conducted by Shivanti Subramaniam and directed by Soundari David Rodrigo, won 4 gold medals at the 12th Bali International Choir Festival 2023. The Soul Sounds Academy Choir, conducted by Shivanti Subramaniam and directed by Soundari David Rodrigo, as well as soloists Shanuk Vijay Singha and Rakita Vidyapatige, also won gold medals at the 12th Bali International Choir Festival 2023. They won the gold medals in the solo classical music and children's choir category respectively. In addition, Shanuk Vijay Singha also emerged category winner at the competition. The Bali International Choir Festival is one of the fast-growing and reputed choral festivals in the world, and each year welcomes choirs from all over the world. This year there were over 92 choirs and well over 4,000 participants at the event.
Second phase of the Divi Savia program, distributing much needed school books and supplies to the students of Sri Lanka. Coming soon.
A protest was held at the Moratumulla Junction this afternoon to urge the government to provide relief to those engaging in the carpentry industry.
The protest was organized by the Carpentry Manufacturers Union. The carpenters have become extremely helpless. Some can't afford a meal. They earn today to pay the electricity bill. They will not be able to pay that as well. A family of 4 children eat 250 grams of rice. All of them have become extremely helpless at this point. They have no way to live their lives. What should we do if the leaders are waiting until all the businesses in Moratua are demolished? We will unite to bring forward a new government and rebuild the timber industry.
Vietnamese media reported that the country's former deputy foreign minister is among the 54 government officials and businessmen who were jailed on Friday for obtaining massive bribes to repatriate Vietnamese citizens who were stranded overseas when the COVID pandemic struck in 2020.
Among them were 25 state officials, including 2 ambassadors and other senior diplomats, who amongst them had obtained bribes total of $7.4 million. Ex-deputy former minister To Ang Yong was sentenced to 16 years in jail for bribes to the value of $1 million. Pham Trung Kin, an assistant to the Ministry of Health, received a life sentence for obtaining bribes totaling $2 million. Prosecutors had asked for a death penalty. Others convicted, including influential businessmen who owned and managed companies that arranged rescue flights to bring back thousands of Vietnamese, including many students from Europe and other regions. The trial lasted just 18 days.
The quarter-finals of the Jaffna Premier League football tournament commenced on Saturday.
The Jaffna Premier League football tournament is being held with the aim of selecting the cream of Sri Lankan football players for the national football squad. Shakti TV is the official media sponsor of this event. 2 matches of the quarter-finals of the Jaffna Premier League football tournament took place today. The game took place in Puttur Everest Ground in Jaffna. 4 teams will take part in the quarter-final rounds. The semi-finals will be held on the 1st and 2nd of August.
And with that, we conclude this Saturday's edition of Primetime News on TV1. For the Newsfizz team, I am Thiruni Karunaratne. Take care and good night.